So it's not quite a wrap, but we are at the wrap-up moment, and I want to ask Monsignor Melchior. I should point out that Melchior is not only a very good friend, he is an almost perpetual traveller in the name of sport at the service of humanity. From the very first intimation that this might come together right up till now, Melchior is at our heart and core. So there is no better person to wrap up. Thank you very much, Melchior.
Thank you. Thank you, David, and thank you to all. I hope not to spoil 2 days of a brilliant meeting with this wrap-up, because it's impossible to wrap up, to synthesize what we've heard in these 2 days. But 3 months ago or so, I was in Pyeongchang, not Pyongyang. Pyongyang is the capital of North Korea. Pyeongchang at the Winter Olympic Games. And particularly at the Olympic session. The Olympic session is the supreme organ of the Olympic movement. It's where the most important decisions regarding the Olympic movement and sports are taken, where hosting cities are chosen, etc. And there I was sitting among IOC members, presidents of national Olympic committees, international federations, and all the Olympic movements. And when they saw me, many said, "What are you doing here? Are you sure you are in the right meeting? Did you crash the Olympic session?" I said, no. I'm here officially invited. I'm the Vatican delegation. Well, you can tell, I'm the Vatican delegation. Then they asked, "Are you the captain of the Vatican national team? Didn't they get nothing better to send to compete at the..." No. It's not a competing team at the Olympic Games. I was there just as an observer. The IOC, for the first time in history, invited a Vatican delegation to the Olympic Games as observers there, not as a competing team. We could send perhaps the Swiss Guards, but there's not much more to send. Well, but my presence there at the Olympic Games reflects exactly what we are trying to do here with this conference. My presence there underlined the importance that faith communities and sport governing bodies unite their forces at the service of humanity, that those two worlds engage in closer dialogue. Because it's not that often that churches, our faith communities, and the world of organized sport dialogue and interact. And we are convinced that together we can better serve the humanity. And this is the title of this, the first conference in the Vatican and the movement that was born in that conference. At the service of humanity, for the good of men and women who practice sport and those who don't practice because they lack the opportunity to do so. And sport, as Renate remembered, has to be a human right for every children. Well, why sport at the service of humanity? The idea is to bring humanity back to sport and to bring sport back to humanity, so that sport serves human beings, their development and fulfillment. We want people to focus more on how to win in life, how to gain in humanity, how to grow as persons, rather than win the match, especially winning at any cost. We should introduce also, and I know that many of you are aware of it, the dynamics of service and not only that of profit. Directors of the athletics department are worried that they have to present results to their administrations. they have to produce results, and the result says that their teams win. But this cannot be the only parameter. There is this idea of service, that an athlete cannot be reduced to a mere tool to achieve results, because persons cannot be tools. They have to be ends and goals, not means. It's inverting the radical relation between human beings, that every human being, that's Kant who said, has to be considered as an end in itself and not as a means. Well, partnership between faith and sport, and I wish at this conference there were more representatives of faith communities. I know many of the colleges here are faith-based colleges. We are in a Jesuit university, after all, a Catholic university. But I wish there were more representatives of faith communities, social outreach of dioceses or communities. How can we better engage? How can we, as sports associations, clubs, athletics departments, better serve faith communities and vice versa? This was the idea at the origin of the conference in the Vatican and the subsequent movement, Sport at the Service of Humanity, which Val Ackerman has so nicely presented. We wanted to introduce the idea of a sport value-driven, using the six principles, these nice 6 posters. My favorite one is joy. It's my favorite one, joy, because sport, after all, has to be about fun, having fun. We do sport because we have fun at it. It has a lot of benefits, social benefits, personal benefits for your wellness, but you have to have fun at playing. Well, over the last 2 years, in these last 2 years, we have done a lot of things with very reduced forces, and the secret is partnering. First with Villanova, who hosted the first regional conference, then now with LMU, and we are expecting to expand these regional conferences. And one of the most interesting things is that in these conferences, the best ideas arise during the coffee breaks and lunch time, connecting people. And one of the most interesting things was that in the Vatican Conference, the UNHCR, the High Commissioner for Refugees, and the Barcelona Foundation met and organized a meeting in Barcelona and created a digital platform using the Barcelona players. Messi is not doing very well at the World Championship. And the NHL and other hockey organizations adopted this 6 principles declaration with slight changes as the inspiring code for the whole hockey world. This is just one federation, but imagine if FIFA would adopt these principles as an inspiring code and regulating code. So little by little, this movement is extending. In Africa, with Allianz, the founding partner, we are creating a digital platform for youth engagement. You have to go to kids and youth where they are, and today they are basically on digital platforms. That's where you find them. Well, so this is what we're doing. I do not comment on this, but I think the secret is partnering. Impossible to synthesize the 2 days' work. I think every one of us has his or her favorite takeaways. I suggest you to do this. Go to Twitter and collect the tweets, because these tweets contain the essential of the conference. They are the best abstract of the conference in tweets. Takeaways, and pick your favorite one. Tweet is nice because it's so essential. And Cardinal Rovazzi says that almost every Jesus's phrases fit into a tweet. The gospel is tweetable. Literally, think, give to Caesar what is Caesar's and to God what is God's. In Greek, it's 60 characters. You have extra space to comment on. Importance of coaches creating safe spaces are one of the most important things. I think we all were impressed by Father Boyle's inspirational speech. Going to the margins is not about what we can do for them, but what they are doing to us, and letting ourselves be transformed by those in the margins. Inclusion, or better, cohesion rather than inclusion, a safe place for kids to try and not to succeed, where also LGBT community can open their hearts without risking their lives. Many things. I think we need time to elaborate on all this. What are we doing now? I think every one of us has to ask himself or herself this question. What can I do? What am I going to do tomorrow? You know, Nelson Mandela said this famous quote, "Sport has the power to change the world." And it is true. We are all convinced that sport creates better persons, but sport has also its dark side. Sport can also divide, can create division. There's the whole negative side of around sport: violence, doping, fixed matches, abuse, corruption, inequity. Sport alone does not suffice, it cannot save itself. And again, I think that's why we need to better cooperate, to partner. We need to create partnerships. I think this was what we heard in the last panel, but the philanthropic initiatives of different foundations here in Los Angeles. It is good to know the baseball, the Dodgers collaborate with soccer. Let us extend this not only to foundations, but to other associations and groups and communities. The challenge is sport serving humanity, life like you play. This is what Pope Francis said: challenge yourself in the game of life as you do in sport. We need to deepen this connection between sport and life, a connection that can enlighten one another. Enlightenment is my second favorite principle. To become better men and women, better persons. I like in English the expression, be a sport. Be a sport. Also in Spanish, deportividad means something like taking things with perspective, with gentleness, fairness. It's a very positive word. In ancient Greek, philosophers were expected to be better persons because they were in search of wisdom. I think athletes should be better persons because sport helps us to give the best of ourselves. So those who are involved with sports should be better people. It's not always so, but that's the challenge. And it's time really now to wrap up, and it's time to give thanks. Don Quixote, I come from the land of Don Quixote, La Mancha in Spain, central Spain, and he said that when I cannot reward the benefits I receive, at least I say thanks. Because a person who says thank you would do the same benefits that he receives if he could. And so now, for me, it's time to say thank you. Thank you, first of all, to LMU University, Loyola Marymount University. President Snyder is not here, but Father Allen is here. And please join me in an applause to give him thanks. And to offer to him, Father Allen, a medal. It's not, it's silver medal. Well, at least covered in silver. It's a medal from Pope Francis, comes from the Vatican. It's a token of gratitude to LMU for hosting this conference. So, Father Allen. Then, WCC Commissioner Connie Hurlbut, she's not here. Ah, there she is. It's another silver medal. It's a second position. Thank you for supporting this conference and the community business game. Medal comes from and Renata Simrel, LA 48 Foundation for 84. Well, and finally, Bill, who's a thank you for his hard work and for welcoming this SSH conference, making it possible. We're honored that he chose to make this second regional conference here as the final project before he retires tomorrow after 20 years as LMU Athletics Director. Thank you, Bill. And for Bill, it's a set of coins. They are euro coins, of legal coins in the Vatican. It's a help to pay for the expenses of the conference. And finally, thank you to you all for your presence. You were the protagonists, the stars in this conference. And I say to you, just arrivederci. Let's meet soon again in the next conference. Thank you.